And they say things that I know that they wish they hadn't said. And so I ask you all to be respectful of each other, and we will be respectful of you the same. So thank you for that. With that, we'll move on to new business. And Bethany, we have RZ 190-472, and we'll have that open a public hearing on that, if you will.
Yes, sir. This is RZ 190-472, SRNG LLC on Carlan Road. They are wanting to go from agriculture to small ag. There's 10.99 acres. Parcel number 057-010-007. And their intent is to divide the property into 2 lots to build 2 homes. The zoning history on this is it's currently zoned agricultural according to the official zoning map. A review of zoning records indicates that no rezoning file has been located regarding the subject property. The executive summary is the applicant requests to rezone a total of 10.99 acres located on Carlan Road, this being Lot 6 of 6 Crew Properties LLC, from ag to small ag, to build 2 single-family homes. Staff recommends approval of the rezone. And additional comments would be, in addition to this memo, I hereby incorporate the entirety of my office's file and the video recording of the Planning Commission's hearing, including but not limited to all witness testimony, in order that this information be made part of the record and shall be available for the Board of Commissioners to review. If you want to look behind you, there's some maps of the property. There's the zoning that is around it. The one that is outlined in blue on your left would be the one that is in question.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Who's the representative for SRNG?
Jim Chad.
Come forward,
I
please.
apologize. Chuck Sherrill is here on behalf of SNRG. He's one of the member managers.
Okay, we missed you last month.
You know, I apologize. That is my fault, and I appreciate so much for allowing us to come back. And I do apologize. There's some miscommunication on that.
That's right. We had a long meeting, so we didn't miss you.
You got plenty to do.
Tell us what you're trying to do here and what your plans are.
I'm Jim Chatham on behalf of SNRG. I'm the one who filed the application. They asked me to file it. Kind of give you an idea, just so, I only made 3 copies, but this kind of gives you an idea of a blow-up's the same thing. It kind of gives you more of a backup view, because I think that's kind of important, as you can see. May I hand this to y'all as the board may I approach? Yeah, well, I'm supposed to ask that. In the court of law, you have to ask it. Let me just have y'all, that just kind of gives you a blow-up view, and it was the intention of SNRG to just do the less, what I would call less dense version of the small ag as opposed to RR, but you can see the community's got a lot of RR large tracts already in existence. The reason I blew that back a little bit, just to kind of give the board an idea. If you blow that back out, you can see the RR districts that are there. So it's not a completely large ag section. So, I mean, that's one of the issues that we first saw. But they just wanted to build 2 homes. That's it. Instead of building 1, they want to build 2. If they added property, they potentially could build, 2, 3 homes depending on ag. We said, depending on how many acres you had and all that, they could do that anyway. But they're just trying to build 2 homes, and it's our position that if it's, we respect people's position.
So is all the frontage off of Carlan Road?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And will it be a road, or each lot would be fronted on Carlan Road?
Each lot would be fronted, yes. Yeah. They would both, it'd be equal. If you've seen did you see the proposed, no, this is a proposed survey, but we did a proposed survey that I guess if we were included, we would actually go ahead and get this recorded. It's the same surveyor who did the whole survey for K. Jordan and 6 Crew Properties is the name they use, but K. Jordan and Lamar, this is the same surveyor who did it, but he basically just drew a line. But yeah, you can see that this would be the revised plat, which we included in the package. I hope everybody has it. We included the revised package. So both lots would have access to Carlan Road. Yes, sir.
So approximately 5 acres per.
One's 5 and one's 5.99.
Actually, right now it's 5.05 and 9.4, is
Oh,
how he
okay.
divided it. But almost identical.
And what size homes do you plan to build?
Come on up, Jim.
They were about 1,800 square feet living.
And what about anything else that we need to know regarding your proposed plans?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we submitted, I didn't bring the actual elevations of the houses. We submitted them. Kind of thought, I didn't realize it was gonna take the process that it takes to do it, so I went ahead and submitted for some septic permits, so we got that stuff approved. I didn't bring any of the floor plans with me, but yeah, they were just, nothing fancy, just
Okay.
2 new houses.
All right. Other questions from the board for the applicant? All right, we've got a couple of folks that want to speak.
Thank you all very much. And
Okay.
you want us to be...
So stand by, you're comfortable right there. Chris Johnson,
Yeah, right here.
you had a question?
Yeah, I do. So, I own the lot right next door, lot 5, and we just bought that back in September. And so when we bought that, it's 6, parcels that were split. They're all about 11 acres each, one of them being 15. But we're already building out there, as is Eric, who has the lot across from us, but he'll be speaking too. But so I'm here because I wanted to kind of find out what their plans were. So now I kind of got an idea of what they're doing. And the septic was already approved?
Yes.
Okay. So one of my concerns was that there is a spring head on his property, which is very close to my property line. That leads into a spring which runs through part of my property in the woods, and then it goes onto the property behind me, which is where Brian Johnson lives, he should be coming here. But, so it feeds a stock pond on this property too. So I was kind of more concerned about how that's gonna work with the septic, with the leach lines and everything, and how that, with those homes fitting on that property, how that's gonna plan out, because that property is not very buildable, the entire thing. So even though it's 10.99 acres, I'm thinking, the buildable portions of it's going to be pretty small. The other thing that, because we were wondering what types of homes they were going to build, we're building like a 5,600 square foot home on our property, and then I know Eric's building a large home too on his across the way. So we're just kind of, again, it wasn't, when we all bought out there, we weren't expecting someone to come in and subdivide, and build 2 homes on one lot. And then the other question I had too is now the home is listed, the lot is listed for sale. So we're wondering, if it's being split, is he gonna, why is he selling it? Why is he selling the land?
Okay,
So that was it. That's really all I had.
all right, thank you. Eric?
Yes, sir. I own the 100 acres to the east there, and there again, I bought the 2 acres, I guess, whatever those 2 11-acre tracts are. Was the last 2 that I bought. I own all 5 of those tracts there. And when we bought that piece of property, like Chris said, it was all in 11 to 12 to 15 acres. So this gentleman knew what he was buying and why he was buying it. We first heard the story that it was going to be his. He was going to build a house. He wanted to get it separated for his daughter. Him and his daughter was going to build a house. We heard that story. Now it's up for sale for Redfin. He's got it for $300,000 on Redfin for sale for the whole tract. So I don't really think that his motives is basically to build 2 homes for himself. It's basically to build 2 homes and then build the houses and get out. And I sunk a lot of money. So if you figure if he's got 10 acres and he wants $300,000 for it, you figure what my 100 acres basically represents there. Okay?
Don't let the tax assessor hear you say
Well, I already got that tax bill and I'll be appealing that too. So I got my tax bill in the mail and my wife had to pick me up off the floor. So, I've attended 4 of these meetings and we talk about Jasper trying to keep it the country. And we went up there, we bought property in an area that's ag, there's cows, there's hay, and I just hayed my fields. We're not looking for that there in that area. And like I said, when he bought that piece of property, he knew what it was. He knew what we were doing. Even Lamar told him when he was sold, it's 10 acres, here you go, building houses, that sort of thing. So I'm asking you not to let somebody come in and destroy something that we've paid a lot of money for to profit for what little bit he's going to get for those 2 acres,
Understood.
or 2 houses or whatever.
Thank you.
So,
Then we have Susan.
That would be me. And last time you said if we agreed with what everybody else said, just to say ditto?
Yeah.
Ditto.
Good.
But let me add traffic to that, and that I moved out to the country like Eric and Chris and his wife. And
Cody, and where do you live?
I live on Moss Road, which is about a half a mile down on the right past that. And I live across the street from Brian Johnson, who owns 267 acres. And my neighbor, Antonio, is a cow farmer, and he owns 10 acres. I own 5, and my sister behind me owns 5. So we moved out here to be, like they said, in the country, and the traffic's getting horrible on the roads. One of the ladies last time about that Dean Trail said her car going down 53 was just jiggling. That's how I feel. So, thank you.
And is it Kinney? Trey Kinney?
Trelly.
Trey?
I get you every time.
Okay, you do. You do.
Well, most of mine is ditto as well. The couple of pieces here are, one, it's been rezoned before, and here we are again for a rezoning. That concerns me. I do have some concerns about what the actual intentions are in regard to this property. I too moved out to the country. Again, you probably remember me from last time. I want Jasper to stay, as expansive in land as we can keep it. It is gorgeous, and I'm going to keep it that way. Roper Road is one of the main ways for people to get to town. A little scary, I'm not going to lie. So that is another concern of mine as well. But I just, I want us to all conduct ourselves in an honest manner, and I believe it's so important to be forthright and forthcoming with what our intentions are. And if you purchase something you're not necessarily exactly happy with, I say sell it and let somebody else enjoy it. That's just me.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Well said. That's all I had that was signed up to speak. Okay. Questions from the board for the applicant?
Last month you were applying for this estate residential estate. Why did you change it?
I think that was a typo originally, because I think there was, I had used an application from another client. We had a similar, but theirs had to be a state residential because of 3, but we never intended that. That wasn't there. They didn't change the intent based upon anybody opposition. That was, we wouldn't even know there was opposition when I spoke to the office, I think. I just told them that I gave them authorization, and it was just a typographical error. My fault. It should have been small ag, but that was the intention all along, to do small ag. But that's a good question. I was going to address that. I do apologize for the original application saying estate residential, but we caught that pretty early and stopped.
Further questions?
Is there any restriction saying one house will be built on each one of these lots?
Actually, all the lots come with restrictions from the timber company about no chicken houses. They're not necessarily in the covenants because they were part of the contract from the timber company when Temple Inland, wasn't Temple Inland, it was Springbank, who y'all know purchased the, Springbank LLC is the entity that owns all that property. But there are some restrictions regarding, technically there's some, what I would call more farming restrictions that says no mobile homes, all those restrictions are part of everybody's lot. As I recall, they were all the same. No mobile homes, no chicken houses, there were several things that were written into those covenants. So yes, it is subject to a general set of covenants that's part of an agreement between Springbank and the original purchaser of 6 group properties. I didn't bring them. I think I have the contract. I should have brought that. But there's about 4 or 5. Yeah, and they're general in nature, but just...
So a recent survey that was conducted throughout the county, people had the opportunity to voice their opinions and whatnot, indicated that there was a desire on the part of most people to have larger lots as opposed to smaller lots, which echoes what some of the folks here that spoke out that are concerned about what you're trying to do. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, why did you not consider trying to leverage the value of the full 10 acres versus?
Well, I'll let Chuck talk to that, but from my position on behalf of my client, I'd say that, I mean, at this point, it is being marketed. So, someone may come in and buy it as one 10-acre tract, or, buy it as two separate if it gets rezoned. We'll leave that option open, but they may do that. They may purchase it that way. We're happy to sell it that way. We haven't necessarily begun plans that we're gonna start, filling up a house right away. We're gonna see what the market bears on that. I think and my answer to that would be is, I hail from Gilmer, so we have similar issues come up, but I think I told the Ashley today, in Gilmer, we ran into the problem when they originally allowed people to put whatever zoning they wanted to. There's some people who threw, R2, 1-acre tracts up in the middle next to the National Forest. Well, that's, to me, very bad. That's not good. And so what happens is people try to append to that and try to do R2 developments in the middle of, where it's total forest land and agriculture. I don't think that's the same issue with small ag and ag. I think small ag and ag can live together. I think that those live well together. I don't think there's that big of an impact I'm talking about. Because y'all do limit the homes. It's not like you can do, a lot more homes because it's small ag in reference to, just regular ag. So I think they can live together. I think those entities can live together. Right now, you've got a situation where RR is living together with ag, and I would say that right now that RR lots are still being operated, it looks like, as more of an agricultural, setting, so they haven't gone to try to develop it yet. I do agree with you on your position about it. I applaud what I think what Kay and Lamar are doing was just ingenious. They hit a market, and it's funny that you said that, because they did hit a market of people. I hear that all the time. They don't want less acres. I think that the market of 1.5-acre tracts and 1-acre tracts is not the market in North Georgia. People aren't coming up here for that.
Right, they're trying to escape that.
Yes, sir, at 100, and isn't that good? And I would say it's really a credit to y'all and your planning. And I'm not saying this disingenuously, I'm saying honestly. I think y'all have done a good job of that, because you've made people like Kay who want to come in with these larger tracts, you've made it, a streamlined process to come in because you've encouraged them. I don't think that going this necessarily changes output. If everybody in the development was doing that, you'd have to reconsider. I don't think everybody really wants to do it. I agree with you, but maybe someone will come in and buy it and keep it, where they'll just put a son house or a daughter house. That's sort of how they're being marketed.
Well, I think also, there's a lot of people that want to live that way and can't afford a bigger tract or even the maintenance on it. So, 5 or 6 acres it's a decent sized piece of land for a small family to move up here and enjoy the same things that everyone else gets to enjoy also.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask
Sell
them,
sign on that property now, is that just for sale it for 10 acres or for sell it broken
Well,
down?
yeah, right now it's marketed as being 10.99 acres. So we were just waiting to come here and have this conversation and see where it went. But our intentions were to build a couple houses on there. I think with the way the housing market is, in my opinion right now, it might not be the best idea to do it. So we're not in a big rush to do anything with it. I think this was the first step in figuring out if we could do this or not, and then kind of making a plan from there.
Okay, further questions?
I wanted to ask one question. I don't remember who said that, is that a limited partnership or a
LLC.
LLC? So, and then somebody said with the intent to buy more if more land was added? I thought I heard somebody say that.
Oh, you did, but we don't have no intention of buying more land or doing anything
Okay.
else up there.
So what would go forth from that? Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to recant, just to comment on some of the things they said. When he's talking about that list of stuff that we couldn't do and we could do, when we bought the property, it was clearly on there that that was 10 acres, one home per 10 acres. So if you want to go through all the other regulations that he was saying, that regulation was in there. And I agree, there's people that want to come up here and get 5, 6, 10 acres, whatever. There's places around Jasper you can still buy 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 if you want to. But just not in that area. That area's set up for 10-acre tracts. It's set up, you can see the 2 tracts there behind you. I've already set up in my will and deed, I deeded my boys 15 acres each. Just because I wanted them to have that 15, 15. I've got that rest of that 60s mine. So, you know, we're trying to keep that whole area up through there. If you look, the large land there, he can take that somewhere else. There's other places that fits into Jasper, not there.
Understood, thank you. All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we recommend denial on this.
We have a motion to deny the request for the rezone. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll close that hearing, and we'll open the hearing on RZ 190491, the Woodstock Church of Jasper. Bethany?
Agent for Woodstock Church of Jasper is John Stewart. The location is 5335 Highway 53 West Jasper. They request a rezone from neighborhood commercial to highway business. And the proposed use is to join this property with existing church property for an immediate expansion of the parking lot and future addition of church facilities. Current land use is undeveloped neighborhood commercial. Character area is rural development. And the lot size is roughly 7.76 acres. Road access is Highway 53 West. The recommendation, staff recommends approval of the Highway Business Zoning District. Additional comments: in addition to this memo, I hereby incorporate the entirety of my office's file and the video recording of the Planning Commission's hearing, including but not limited to all witness testimony, in order that this information may be made part of the record and shall be available for the Board of Commissioners to review. If you will look behind you, there's a current zoning map of the HB and the NC, which are the 2 properties that the church currently owns. And then there's the proposed map. Basically, it didn't change very much.
And your recommendation?
Is approval.
Approval.
Staff recommends approval, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, who's representing the good Woodstock?
I'm John Stewart.
Yeah, please rise, we can hear you better.
All right. Any questions? The 2 properties are side by side now. We have done the survey to make it one plat, and it was recommended by the office here to go ahead and rezone just so that it's matching zoning for that. So we do whatever, you know, on that property as far as driveways across or parking areas or anything like that. We've kind of maxed out the property we own now with septic tanks and the building there, so eventually we would build a new church on the other side at some point in the future, but nothing.
So the church is operating today?
It is.
Okay.
Yep, and growing, so we're right now our immediate need is we've grown out of parking. So we purchased the land next door. We could do the parking over there now. We would just have to do a dirt driveway, you know, versus paving because it's not zoned the same. So the intent again is to make it one plat, the same zoning, so that, you know, whatever happens over the next 4 or 5 years is okay with the county.
What's your affiliation with the church?
I go to the church. I'm on the building committee and contractor. So I've done a lot of the parking lot now and work with the county on septic tank stuff that we have there. Putting in a playground right now, so just went through that process with you guys.
How many members of the church?
We're running about 700 a Sunday right now,
Wow.
so we've grown quite a bit. So eventually, the plan would be to go next door and build 800-900 seat sanctuary, and then make the building that we have now a college, kids in college type building. So eventually.
So 700 people in your current facility?
Yeah, we have 3 services.
Oh,
So combined with all 3 services is 700.
I got you.
Anywhere from 650 to 700 a Sunday.
Which one's the most popular?
Probably 9:45. So come to the 8:30. Plenty of seats at 8:30.
Is this piece of land the one where you have the 80 drop river east of that section?
We do that on our current property, but
Okay.
obviously as we now have gotten that other piece of property,
So this is on the other side from that?
yeah, it's adjacent to that. Yeah.
I have just a curiosity question. Is this a branch of the Woodstock church that's down on Ridge?
It started from that, yes. We're not part of them anymore. We've broken away from that and stand on our own as Woodstock, Jasper. But it does come from the same group, yes.
Yeah,
Did you have a falling out with those other?
No, just we grew to the point where we didn't need their assistance anymore.
Okay.
And, so
You
we
grew up.
We grew up.
okay. So are you still associated with Andy Stanley or?
No, that's a different group,
Oh,
actually.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's,
I'm just curious. That's a curiosity question. I live in the West End, so I drive by there all the time, so.
I got you.
Yeah.
Some of us are old enough to remember the first Woodstock.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't there, but I knew about it.
Well, there's the older building that's on that property. A lot of those members still go to our church. That I guess Woodstock bought that church originally and made it Woodstock, and they're still there. So it's good. It's growing.
Further questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
I do.
Stand by, we're gonna have
Okay.
other people speak. Okay? Thank you. So, I've got, 2 people here that want to speak. Evan Davis.
Some of my questions were already answered, what they intend to do with that property exactly. You said to expand the parking lot over towards the side of the Hill Circle?
Yeah, we would come across the line and build a new parking lot in the front right there that would then serve the new building eventually one day.
And the entrance to the parking lot and the rest of that, would that still be the same place?
Same place.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't add an entrance until there was a new building built at some point. And there's an entrance already down by Hill Circle or Hill Street, whatever that is. We would, the county would make us do a decel, XL lane, I'm sure at that point, at whatever point we pursued building another building there.
Okay. That answers my questions. Thank you.
All right. Tammy Davis, there you are.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't want to stand because I have trouble. But this is our property on the Hill Circle area, but I'm not just representing myself and my property and my sons, but 2 of my sisters own property that hit right there at Hills, the highway. And then my uncle, who has 19 acres across from me, I have 5, my sisters have 2. His comes close to his property as well, so what we were wanting to know was, how is this going to affect the zoning on our property, especially my sisters who touch the highway there, when it comes to whether it's going to become a business type zoning, which means does the taxes go up on that? Does it also restrict what you sell the land for? Because my sisters are interested in selling their 2 acres. These are questions that are really important to them right now. I'm further back in the Hill Circle behind their property, so it doesn't affect me quite the same way. So
Yeah. I would never attempt to speak for the tax assessor.
Well, their concern was, is it going to go up? Their taxes from before because of the zoning changing.
I would think that if their zoning continues the way it is zoning, they should not be necessarily adversely affected by this zoning. But again, I don't speak for the tax assessor.
And I would say something to that as well, if I can, I guess. We were talking to the county. Both pieces of property now are zoned to build a church on or whatever you want to do. Our intent to zone them the same is just to make them one plat. We could build the new church on that other piece of property as it is zoned today. It wouldn't matter. I'm not sure, and she may be able to answer, you guys may be able to, I'm not sure the difference in those two zoning indications. But again, when I started talking to the county about but either property is zoned for a church to be built. So it wouldn't affect a lot, but I don't think it would change any of the tax stuff as far as what just the conversations I've had.
Well, the other question was, see, right now they can either do, although it's a kind of a small piece for 2 acres, to do ag on it or to do residential, but by that zoning changing, does that affect what they and who they can sell to for that property? You know, whether a person can go in and buy it and put a home on it, or is this zoning going to affect that? Or if they want to go in and put a small business, like my husband, not my husband, but one of my other sons, he had the idea of us buying the property from my sisters and putting a small, what he calls Java shop there. Because, you know, there's a lot of traffic around the school area and all that. And that was a thought, you know, would that affect that in any way? It's just a coffee shop, you know. Just
I wouldn't
a
think so,
business of
but I
some
can't
kind.
answer that. I don't
Would that
know.
make a difference to all that?
It would, I don't think if we would consider that at the time that it would come before us. And so I don't see this as either hurting it or helping it one way or the other.
That was the biggest thing, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from the board? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? We have a second. Further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll close that hearing and open a new hearing on RZ 190493, Southern Rambler Ranch LLC.
Yes, sir. This is Southern Rambler Ranch LLC located on Sandy Bottom Road East. The agent is Danny Hoss. The rezoning request is from highway business to agricultural. They are requesting to rezone 153.51 acres of this parcel to agriculture, and their intent is to raise crops and graze cattle. The current land use is highway business. Character areas are Tate and East Pickens Conservation Area. The road access is Sandy Bottom Road from Highway 53 East. The staff recommendation is approval of the agricultural request with the condition that there is a minimum of a 50-foot buffer along and across all residential and adjoining properties. And the additional comments would be, in addition to this memo, I hereby incorporate the entirety of my office's file and the video recording of the Planning Commission's hearing, including but not limited to all witness testimony, in order that this information be made a part of the record and shall be available for the Board of Commissioners to review.
Thank you. Who's going to speak for the applicant? Come
Danny
forward.
Haas, how are y'all?
Fine. Your name?
Danny Haas.
Danny.
Yes, sir.
All right.
The intention is simple. We originally went into highway business for the whole entire 250 acres, and we don't need it all for that, and we're going to take the rest and put it in ag for conservation.
So do you operate the helicopter group?
I do.
Okay. How's that business going?
It's going good. It's going really good.
And so you just want to be able to carve out this part of the activity.
That's correct.
We're taking it back to where it was,
Taking it
Yes,
back to where it
sir.
was, yes, sir.
like a round trip.
Yes, sir. Should make everyone pretty happy.
All right, questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. And we have, is it Sheldon Prince?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, how are you, Sheldon?
I'm doing pretty good.
Come forward
Um,
so we can all hear you and see.
Okay. My property borders on the property in question, and I was just here to figure out what they plan to do with the property. I knew it had been sown that before, and there's been cows and everything on it, pasture. And just wanted to see if anything was different. I'm fine with everything.
You're happy with the cows coming back?
Yeah, the cows are fine. I can hear them move.
Thank you, Sheldon.
Okay.
That's the only person I had to speak. Are there questions for the applicant from the board?
How the cows gonna like the helicopters?
They don't mind it.
How many helicopters are coming and going a day?
On a day, well, I mean, we're very seasonal. Right now, I think I have one in the hangar. It's in maintenance. We just got out of our busy training season. We should be gone now until winter, October, November. You may hear one or two flying around for some, just remedial training. So between now and October, probably one or two maybe. One is on its way home right now, getting some maintenance, and then go back out west and keep fighting the good fight.
Very good. Further questions? Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I would like to make sure that the buffer is added to that.
Yeah, the 50-foot buffer.
50-foot buffer. I would like to amend the approval to approval with that buffer.
Was that part of your recommendation?
Yes, sir, it was.
And that's a 50-foot buffer from all residential.
It is the condition that there's a minimum 50-foot buffer along and across all residential and adjoining properties. Okay.
That means you can't let the cows get,
Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking about.
gonna be a cowboy.
Yes.
So the concern that Pat had isn't already incorporated into, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we'll close that hearing and open up our next hearing, which is the last item on the agenda, RZ 190494. Bethany?
Yes, sir, this is RZ 190494. The applicant is Jesse Meffert. The agent for this hearing is Douglas Sherrill. Location is Roland Road. The request is to rezone from agricultural to highway business. Parcel IDs are 053A101002 and 053A101003. The proposed use is highway business for the construction of 8 storage buildings and a storage yard. The existing access road is county maintained up to a point where the applicant intends to upgrade the remaining part of the road to county standards. Current land use is undeveloped agriculture, and the character area is suburban infill area. The lot size is again 19.772 acres, and the road access is Roland Road. The recommendation is staff recommends approval of the highway business request with the condition that there is a minimum of a 40-foot buffer along and across all residential properties, and the applicant upgrades the road to county standards as stated in their letter of intent. Additional comments: in addition to this memo, I hereby incorporate the entirety of my office's file and the video recording of the Planning Commission's hearing, including but not limited to all witness testimony, in order that this information be made a part of the record and shall be available for the Board of Commissioners to review. Their proposed map is behind you, the zoning map, then there's the existing map. I think it shows the chicken houses maybe, and then that's the proposal for the storage units.
So talk to me about the road, the upgrade.
Upgrade to county standards.
Which road is this?
Roland Road.
Okay. So the right-of-way exists that meets the county standards, and you're requiring them to bring it up to county standards?
To bring it up to county standards. That was in their letter of intent, that they had stated they would do that.
Which I would presume is paving.
That I cannot answer because I'm not sure. I don't know what the county standard for that road would be.
I know it's 60 foot.
I think it's a 60-foot right-of-way, I believe, but as far as paving goes, I don't know the answer to that one.
All right. Mr. Sherrill. You were already going to get to speak, but you signed up to speak anyway.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
I feel disrespectful by sitting down before y'all, but yeah, so I represent the applicant. I'm a land surveyor with Land Development Professionals. We provide surveying and engineering services. In looking at this property, it seemed to me to be the highest and best use to have storage units on this piece of property. The topography is, it's not flat, and we've not done a lot of planning yet. I would want to add as a condition that our plan would meet the county standards. The buffers we have no problem with. I probably have more density on the plan than I can actually construct.
So, I mean, again, you've got more density?
Yes, I'm not sure. I know the density that we requested. I don't think after looking at it after the application was submitted that I can actually construct that many units because of the topography. But I've not gotten into all the topography, the grading, and how that will work. So, but the general idea is to bring the road up to county standards, and that would require paving to the minimum standard. I think that's a 20-foot minimum width, but I could be wrong about that. But minimum width.
So you do intend to pave it?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It needs to be paved. We would also access this property. So I surveyed out a parcel in front of this piece that was, I think it's a 1.89 originally acre tract that's residential. And I created a panhandle before you got to that residence that you would turn into this property to access. So there would be no traffic that would pass in front of that residence. To try to eliminate that as an issue of any traffic going past that residence that's there. Other than that, it seems to, I think, to be a good transitional use of zoning between all the parcels and uses that are out there.
So the concerns we've heard in the past about storage units center around traffic, time of day, operation, and lights.
Absolutely.
And potential nefarious things going on after dark.
So we understand that we would have to fence the property as a requirement. We would also have to vegetate around the property as a landscape buffer. Lighting, any of the designs I've done for storage, we would do a light pollution plan and minimize those lights. I don't know that your ordinance says anything specifically about how that needs to be done, but for security there has to be lights. But those lights do not need to leave the property. And we can provide a lighting pollution plan that would prevent that from happening. It would have to be gated. We would also have to have a time of operation. Typically that's somewhere from 7 to 7 to 10, something like that is a typical recommendation. I would defer that to the board if there's something specific on time that you would prefer. We're agreeable to setting a time of business operation for that.
You know, seems like things always come in 3s or 4s or 5s or 6, but there's there's certainly a great interest in storage units that we're hearing. And again, people have concerns about them for the reasons that I stated. How did you determine that you wanted to do storage units on this particular piece of property? I mean, what's your, you must have done some research, or you didn't just grasp it out of the air, I don't
Yeah,
think.
so, no, sir. In my experience, storage units, first of all, they're a high yield business. Okay,
Profitable.
they're very profitable. Okay, everyone understands that. But they're typically low impact if done right. You have to regulate them properly in order for them to be okay. They're driven by the economy. I mean, as folks begin to lose their homes or they're more rental in nature, and that's where we are in the economy, there's a need for storage units. So the need always exists.
I wouldn't think there's a lot of rental property out where this is going. I may be wrong, but.
It doesn't have to be in that area. But what we're seeing in our clientele is developers are going to more rental properties, building townhomes. The next generation doesn't buy homes. My kids can't afford to buy homes. And so they're renting, and they're finding that they also don't keep the same job like we have. In order to progress in the workforce, get their raise, they have to go to a new job. So they're moving more. So that's where we see more rental.
Questions from the board?
You said possibly 8 storage buildings. How many spaces to each building?
So once we design the outside of the building, okay, and the fire code restricts how large that unit needs to be before there's fire suppression. So we limit the size of that overall footprint. Then we go in and we say, okay, well, maybe we want a 10 by 15 here, and we want a 5 by 10 here, and we begin to cut up that building, that unit, for the business plan.
So at this point, it's not determined how many.
It's not specifically determined.
And the storage yard, is that for RVs and boats and stuff like that, or?
That's not really the plan. I think that is more for small construction storage, or to store a construction trailer itself. But it is not designated for RV and boat storage.
Are these gonna be climate control units by chance?
These will not be climate controlled.
They'll be controlled by the climate outside.
Right.
And Bethany, you had a 40-foot buffer.
Yes, sir. That there is a minimum of a 40-foot buffer along and across all residential properties, and that the applicant upgrades the road to county standards as stated in their letter of intent.
Further questions for the applicant? We have one person that has signed up to speak. Is this Mike Hales?
Good afternoon. I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to speak. Can we go back to the map just for a second? And I'm blind, so can we blow it up at all? Sorry. I own the little triangle section right here to the right, 429 Roland, along with 2 other addresses there. Yes, that's me right there. Just to reiterate what we've talked about, is the main access on this Roland Road, or is there another access on the Liberty side somewhere, or back on the back?
That's a great question. So I researched all the property around to try to find other access.
Yeah.
And even acquiring a parcel so there would be county road frontage where we didn't have to upgrade a road.
Right.
And nothing's available. So this property has its sole access on Roland Road.
Well, I'm gonna talk about a couple of my concerns. You can't stop growth. I work in Cherokee County. I've always lived here my whole life, so I see it every day. You can't stop it. Hopefully, as decision makers, we can channel how our community ends up. Number one, I have small children. The bus comes in and out of Roland, and owning that section of Roland, are you familiar with how wide the road is at Roland? How wide is it?
It's narrow.
And the drop off on the side, if you have to get over, is like this.
Sure.
That gravel access point's 11 feet. There's a fire hydrant to the right and a mobile home that has been there for God knows how long, a long time before I bought the property. The mobile home technically is too close to the road. I don't know the status of the people on the other side. But if that is the only access point, even talking to one of the individuals that is involved in this, I asked him a few weeks ago, I said, where's your access point? He says, it's going to be off on the other side. And he said, if we can't get this zone here, we'll go residential, we'll build cluster homes. I said, well, if it's going out the other side, so be it. I'm not here to tell anyone what they can or can't do or give my persuasions on the problem. However, at the same time, he says, well, there's no way it can come in on Roland. I said, I know that. You got to have 12 feet in the lane. The entrance isn't really where the county stops. It turns to dirt. And at that point in time, there's no way that a roadway can get in at that point. I'm not against the storage buildings. It's probably the better avenue over the residential cluster homes. For population, for traffic, it's just probably, and the way it's terraced. My family owned that property from 2013 or 14 until they subdivided that property. I'm very familiar with it. And the way it's terraced, yes. I just don't know, especially thinking that it's going to have an exit, because what I was told by this development group on the backside, hey, if y'all can get back to Liberty or back that other route, maybe they've got another piece of property, so be it, but I've already been allowed to one time, and I don't appreciate that.
Do you have, where would you put the entrance? There's power lines right there.
Correct. And it's right down the power line. That's where the entrance would be.
So basically, y'all would come in off Roland, take down where the power lines is, and then hook left behind this gentleman's house.
Correct. That's right.
So, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. Also, the back section here of this triangle on the flat line. See, the mouse are a little funky here. You've got that one, I guess now what would be the down corner. That's the very back part of my property there. What type of retaining wall would have to be secured there? Because it's like a 12 or 14% grade from there down to a creek.
Yeah, so there's a lot of planning and civil engineering have to be done on the project. And it would be conforming. Whatever I design would be conforming to the least cost to the developer. I mean, that's how we do it.
Yeah, I get that.
But at the same time, we have to do it in such a way that considers you and what you see, and the buffers are the way to prevent you from seeing things.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do. Not just have a buffer, but it has to be used. It has to be a planted buffer.
Right.
So that's important. There's no other access point to this property. I don't know what you were told. I can tell you that I researched to try to find a different access point.
I know, that's why
to prevent, to make it easier for the project. It's not there. It's not available.
And that's why I'm here.
Understood.
That's all I have. I appreciate the opportunity.
So, all right, thank you. So, you know, this county road requirement is not going to be acceptable to the road department to pave a 12-foot strip.
Understood.
It's going to have to be. I'm not an expert on that, but you know, most of the right-of-ways and whatnot, you have it wide enough where the two cars can pass. So is your paving gonna, how close is your paving gonna come to affecting this gentleman?
On record, I can't say. I don't know what the measurement would be.
I'm on the corner of the road. I have to allow right-of-way for Highland River's driveway. So that is my corner there, and that portion of the gravel road is mine. It directly affects me.
The power
The
lines
county-
go through our property. You would essentially, they would be coming onto our driveway and turning in.
My concern is, you say that there's a mobile home that's actually right on the road now. How are you going to get a right-of-way, these people deciding a right-of-way for 60 foot? How can there be 30 on each side? Or from the center lane, the way I understand it, it's 30 from each side.
So that's a good question. So the county does not currently have, here's the legalities, and this is why it's a contingency. I have to make that work, and I have to figure out how to make that work, because the county has a prescriptive right-of-way currently, and we're doing deed research right now to find out what the county actually owns. So in saying 60 feet, the county actually does not own 60 feet. There's a different width on several different surveys that conflict on what that width is. All I can tell you is I'm requesting an approval with the contingency of the road, and I understand that the road is a hill to climb to get to make that solvable. I can design it and make it work. The county has a problem right now with the road they have out there, so we've got to work through those issues with the county.
Are you concerned at all you get the cart before the horse here? I mean, it seems like a lot of things unknown here.
No matter what we do on this property, the road needs to be upgraded.
All the way from Refuge Road back, it's not wide enough.
Is it currently gravel?
No, it's paved but unmarked.
Okay. I'm saying that because it said the access, okay, we're going to have access to the storage units is going to be gravel, 30-foot gravel.
Correct.
I made a note of that, okay. That was where I got the gravel.
That's inside the property.
That's inside, that's right.
Okay.
Well, didn't the county, unless they rewrote the rules again, you have to, if you just pave 20 foot, you gotta curb it. If you don't curb it, you gotta pave 22.
Well, they've got to come up to county standards, and county standards is going to be 60 foot. I think it's 30 from the center on both sides.
Yeah, that's right away. I'm talking about the pavement.
Oh.
It's got to be 20 foot with a curb or 22 foot without, I think.
I'm sure it's just a minute in there.
Right.
All right, well, we got one more person that would like to speak, Judy Mayfield.
Ditto to what Mike had said, also about the security. How tall would the fencing be that you're proposing to put up? Or what type of tree privacy? There's a creek at the bottom that goes from his to ours.
Sure.
And-
So the creek, there's a state buffer on the creek that we have to stay out of. So that can't be disturbed at all. The landscape buffer typically is something like Leland cypress that is opaque, can't see through it type landscape. And the fencing would be, I don't know what the county's regs are, if there are regulations down the sidelines, but typically there's an ornate fencing on the front.
You were talking about lighting, this is gonna be in our backyard, it's gonna be,
Sure.
they have kids, we have grandkids, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
The lighting, that's a big problem trying to sleep at night. You know, you got a lot of light out there, that many buildings, and we don't know how many storage units will be in each building either.
Yes, so typically there's a corner light on the face of each building itself. Instead of being self-standing light poles, they would be affixed to the buildings themselves, and they face down.
Okay. And the buffer, I seen the county had recommended 40-foot buffers. Could that, if it passed us, could that be at least 50-foot buffer? Could that be put in 50 foot away from all
We
residents?
would be agreeable to 50 foot. Because I know that what the density is going to be on this will allow for 50 feet. It's the terraces and things and how we would grade is 50 feet's not a problem.
Grading is gonna be a lot, because it's agricultural through there now. and
Oh, it's like,
Yes,
you have a lot of
it is.
Those are my concerns.
Okay,
Thank
Chief,
you.
thank
Can
you.
I say something?
Sure you can. What's your name, sir?
Jack Mayfield.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna put a 40-foot bumper from our property. How far can you go from the creek?
I believe it's 50 foot from rested vegetation on the trout stream. So 50 foot each side of the top of bank is the buffer.
You're not gonna have enough property left then,
It's tight.
at least 50 foot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. Questions, further questions from the board?
As you said, they've got a lot of unknowns here, and that's concerning. And so I recommend at this point that we recommend denial until we have more answers.
We have a recommendation to deny the request. Is there a second?
I second, I'd like to see an actual drawing of what it's gonna be when you get through,
Okay.
make certain
We have a motion and a second.
it's there.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Come back with more detail.
Sure.
Well, that concludes. I want to thank everybody for being on good behavior. You don't know how refreshing that is for us. Further comments from the board? Comments from the general public?
Like where the storage units are proposed, is there any, they would have to, what recommended, you'd have to see the office, the planning office.
See Beth?
We can email you.
Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
In favor of adjourning?
Yes, right hand.